Of course, America is not racist. It is the racists that would even ask such a question.
That's right.
If you're here in America, you'll be treated equally as long as you adhere to American values and standards. So if you're in this country and you are Mexican, don't be over here raping our women and dealing drugs like fentanyl and marijuana.
Don't do it.
If you are black, stop gangbanging and get off of welfare and get a job like real Americans.
Can I get a fuck yeah?
And if you're Chinese, don't come over here with your COVID-19 and Kung Flu. Keep that shit in Wuhan or wherever you come from. If these people just follow the rules, then racism would be as hard to find as a black man on Father's Day.
Welcome to the Dirty Question with D&D, where we clean up the controversy, one question at a time.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Dirty Question with D&D. Now, before we get started, please take the time to like and subscribe and give us a comment to tell us how we're doing. We appreciate it. Now let's jump right into our dirty question, which asks, is America still racist? We went roaming those internet streets to find some answers.
Of course, America's not racist. After all, we elected the black guy with the funny name, right?
Is America racist? Would a racist country free the slaves and then teach them how to read? Would a racist country give the Indians casinos? And would a racist country worship Beyonce like she's a freaking goddess? I think not, my friend. I think not.
Is the United States of America racist? If it is so racist, then why are all the people from the shithole countries trying to immigrate to the land of the free and the home of the brave? And then they get over here and want to complain about how racist America is. Well, they can just scurry on back to their third world starving village if they don't like it here. Give me a break.
I think America is racist. I mean, just check out any Twitter thread where the topic is about race. And the racists crawl out from the shadows typing N-word this and N-word that in all caps.
All right, nigger.
But me, personally, I don't think I'm a racist because my parents taught me to not even see color and to treat everyone all the same no matter the color. So none of my family members are racist, even my grandpa who's from Georgia. My friends are too woke and progressive to be racist. And come to think of it, none of my coworkers are racist either. In fact, nobody that I know is racist. Don't get me wrong, there is racism here in America, but you'd probably have to go to a Klan rally to find it.
Bullshit. In every generation, from chattel slavery on into present mass incarceration, we can find a steady line of racism. Every generation has had its brand of white people enacting laws, cultural norms, and policies that always run in tandem with increased black liberation and black empowerment. That's why race riots in America never begin with black agitators against white people. It's always whites who attack, always. So from its beginnings in 1776 to right now, America, by definition, is a white supremacist country because racism is always this unilateral arrow that's shot from a white bow at black bodies.
Yes, we had slavery. For over 400 years, we held black people in bondage and treated them like cattle. And yes, America once belonged to the Indians, and we slaughtered them and stole their land and gave that land to white settlers. And also there was Jim Crow, where whites-only signs were in the windows of businesses all over the South, and segregation was the law of the land. And in the time of Jim Crow, we also lynched all sorts of black people, young and old, male and female. And during World War II, we forced the Japanese out of their homes and businesses and into internment camps where they were treated horribly. Yes, America did all of those things, but we are not a racist country, at least not anymore. You know why? Because Martin Luther King gave a speech and saved us from the original sin of the nation. Because of I Have a Dream, we now have Black History Month. Juneteenth is a federal holiday. And a black man is now Captain America in the Marvel movies. Sounds like we're cured if you ask me.
We keep getting gaslit when people ask the question, is America racist, or even has America stopped being racist? That's like asking, has Snoop Dogg stopped smoking weed, or has Leonardo DiCaprio started dating women his own age?
I know that's right.
America? Racist? Well, we used to be with slavery and killing the Indians and all, but we don't do that anymore. You could say America is a recovering racist with a solid record of no relapses since 1964.
If anyone says to you, racism no longer exists in America, I want you to see this, all right? There's a black child who is left stranded by herself. Everybody walks past her. And then they replace the black child with a white child. And everybody starts to take notice and they're concerned.
In that recent video, the general public adultified the little black girl, and in adultifying her, they deemed her as needing less protection. Black children aren't given the grace of the presumption of innocence, but most of us sure as hell see white kids in need of constant protection. They even infantilize white adult criminals in order to minimize their guilt, but they adultify black children in order to sexualize, criminalize, and weaponize them, creating a distorted view that black children are inherent threats. By treating this black little girl as if she were invisible, the public at large reinforces that black lives don't matter and that racism in America is business as usual.
America often treats its approach to white supremacy like people on a diet. They start off pretty good. They watch their calories, they check their weight, they exercise, they eat more healthy, but then they backslide. They have those chocolate chip cookies at night in bed, or they eat some potato chips, or they go to McDonald's and get a Big Mac and fries, and they don't work out that week, and they just give up on the diet, and then they pretend that their body isn't getting bigger anymore. They pretend that they are losing weight when in actuality they're gaining weight. And they don't step on the scale because they don't want to face the reality that I'm losing the battle of this diet. That's how America is with racism. They don't want to step on the scale to see and measure how well they're doing. They just want to pretend that, well, those cookies didn't count. That McDonald's hamburger.
Well, that didn't count.
So the acts of racism that continue, they want to pretend that they don't count because in their mind, they're still on a diet. They're on a diet from racism. They're struggling, yes, but for them, the struggle in their mind is enough. They don't need any results in the real world to make them feel that in the future, racism is going to slim down and one day weigh nothing.
I could list a million facts about how black people experience racism in America, but here are a few from the highlights reel. Black people get paid less for the same jobs. Black women have higher rates of maternal death. Black students experience harsher punishment for the same infractions as white students. Black-sounding names on resumes get rejected more. Black people are 7 times more likely to be wrongfully convicted of murder. Black people accounted for 31% of police killing victims in 2012, even though they made up just 13% of the U.S. population. And black people are much more likely to be arrested for drugs, even though they're not more likely to use or sell them. Almost all black people know that being black in America is fucking draining. And while this is happening, many white people just look the other way.
If someone was baking the United States into a cake, then the main ingredient would have to be white supremacy to get it to taste like America.
When black people claim that America is racist because our jails and prisons are overstocked with black bodies, many white people push back and claim that more black people are in prison because black people commit more crime than whites.
Guilty.
But black inmates make up a disproportionate amount of the prison population because black people are more likely to be criminalized and adultified at a young age.
You're under arrest.
More likely as children to be punished more harshly than their non-black counterparts. More vulnerable to the pull of the prison pipeline via over-policing and profiling in their neighborhood schools. More likely to be surveilled in their own neighborhoods. The most likely to be profiled for arrest. More likely to be stopped for traffic violations and automobile searches in the daytime. Less likely to be able to post bail. More likely to be coerced into a confession. Less likely to be able to afford a good lawyer. Less likely to have a jury of their peers. More likely to be coerced into pleading guilty and making plea deals.
Take the plea.
Most likely to be wrongfully convicted and sentenced. The most likely to serve longer sentences for the same infractions as non-black counterparts. The most likely to be affected by bias on the bench. If someone wanted to deliberately invent a system designed to lock up as many black people in America as possible, they would be hard-pressed to invent a system more effective to do so than the one we already have.
And now it's time for the cleanup. In order for us to have equity, inclusion, and diversity, I think a lot of them think, well, I have to give up my superpower of my white skin. So I am going to give a lot of lip service to anti-racism, but for the most part, I am going to stick with the status quo. So the answer to the question, is America still racist, is hell yeah! And a lot of white people aren't doing anything to be anti-racist. They're going along with the ride and they're enjoying the benefits and the perks.
On January 6, 2021, America didn't use lethal force on the insurrectionists at the Capitol riots because the terrorists were predominantly white nationalists. Now let's just switch out white people at the Capitol and imagine Obama, Louis Farrakhan, and Al Sharpton leading the insurrection with a mob of black people from Black Lives Matter and the Nation of Islam, all chanting stuff like Black Power and Hang That Cracker, Donald Trump, all while sporting Jackson 5 afros and wearing kente cloth dashikis. Every American instantly knows without a doubt that a black attack on the Capitol would have been an all-out bloodbath, followed by an all-out war on all black people in America. Making that switch, we can therefore, as a country, confirm that America is racist as fuck.